Hey there, welcome back. I know I haven't uploaded a video in a long time because I had a lot of work to do. I've been developing some really nice things around my movement approach, which I'm super excited about. But I wanted to come with something different. So my approach to movement, it is coming from a perspective of well-being, and well-being includes a lot of different things in life. So not only moving, but also other things like art, culture, food, and so on. And food is something that affects many people in different ways. So it is quite a complicated topic to talk about because there are a lot of emotions, a lot of traditions involved with food. And in my experience, as someone who has been researching a lot about food and has acquired a lot of knowledge around food and nutrition, it is not always the best to talk about those things to other people because a lot of times they feel attacked even though you're not doing anything. So because they know that the foods that they eat are maybe not the healthiest, not the best for them, or cause other issues, but they're so attached to these foods for many different reasons, maybe childhood experiences or whatever it is, that they don't want this taken away from them. So I learned over the last decade not to talk about food so much, but for myself it is something that is super important and has always interested me, mostly also because I have my own health story, and food and nutrition has been a big key for me to regain my health. And I've tried a lot of different things, so I'm not going to talk about my own story, but there's something that I did want to present to you, and it's a book which is called Ultra Processed People, and I bought it a few days ago and I read it in 2 days. I know it's a little thick, but it's really easy written, it's fun to read. The author, Chris van Tulleken, he has an excellent sense of humor. He's a medical doctor from the UK, and he wrote this book based around also a self-experiment with foods that are ultra processed. I will come to it in a second. And originally I didn't want to buy this book. So over 10 years ago, around 10 years ago, I bought a book called Whole, which emphasizes the importance of eating whole foods. So minimally processed foods that you can recognize, such as, I don't know, a potato or a salad, whatever, like just whole foods rather than the packaged things that have a long list of ingredients where you don't know what the ingredients actually is. And this is something I kind of have been sticking to for the last years, and it has been great for me. And that was the thing that made the most sense to me. So I thought, okay, as long as I stick to the whole foods, what else of knowledge would I want to have? So I kind of didn't want to buy the book. Then I did buy it because I wanted to make a video, and I thought, I listened to the podcast of one of the many podcasts of him, an interview with him where he was invited, and what he was saying was interesting. So I thought this was probably going to be a good book to talk about. And it is. And I do have to say, even though I eat whole foods, another point I will explain, I could eat even better. But the reason why I recommend this book is also because there's a lot of new knowledge. There was, for me, a lot of new knowledge. He talks about a lot of different studies. It goes back historically, like looking at studies that have been conducted over 100 years ago, knowledge that is in this world that we don't talk about that much, or that we don't hear about. And you just learn a lot of great things from different perspectives. Now, a little bit coming to the content of ultra-processed food. So there is a system of categorizing food, and it's called Nova system. So it has 4 different categories, from not processed at all, like a raw apple, to minimally processed, like, I don't know, cooked, cut, whatever. More processed, like for example, if you had fries that contains potatoes, oil and salt, but it's like fried, so, or chips. And then the 4th one is ultra processed, which actually contains ingredients that were somehow extracted from other sources. Could be actually food sources, could also be other things like wood, bacteria, I don't know, oil, like from the ground. So things that were extracted and altered through highly industrial processes, from chemical, physical, whatever processes, and then added back to a food to make it have a taste, a smell, a look, a consistency, but it actually was removed from its original structure so much that the body in the end cannot recognize it, processes it different than if you would have eaten a complete apple. And it is a super interesting way of categorizing food, because from what the researchers found is that this 4th category in the end is not actual food anymore. So you could create something that looks like food and tastes like food, but it doesn't behave in the body like food, and it doesn't give your body the same nutrition, it doesn't produce the same outcome in your brain and in your cells as actual food would. And also the ingredients often are not derived from food. So from the perspective of a lot of these researchers working with this food system, the 4th category would be declassified as food, which is very interesting. And yeah, there's a lot in this book. I don't want to tell you all about it, but when you think of ultra processed things not being food, it gives a little bit of ease to the idea of your own struggle that you could have with these foods, because a lot of people, and this is also an aspect that he talks about in his book and that I have seen in real life as well, is people struggling mentally with food. So for example, that they feel like they cannot not eat something until the end, or they cannot stop eating something past the point of actually being full, or they have so bad cravings for something that they just need to eat it, need to buy it. And this would not happen with broccoli. Like, you wouldn't have a kind of addictive reaction to or behavior with broccoli. You wouldn't feel bad with yourself, you wouldn't feel bad in your body, or also with your mind when you would eat something like a carrot. So it's interesting how these types of food completely change our physical and mental, emotional reaction towards the eating process. And this is, to me, I think, or if I look at other people, could be a big relief if you declassify it as food. So in general, the reason why for me I stopped eating these types of food, or mostly stopped eating these types of food a long time ago, is because I have a problem with histamine and with my mast cells, and if I eat these foods, I get really bad reactions. My face swells, I get itchiness, I get redness, I get pain in my body, I get migraine headaches, like a lot of this stuff. So if I eat something that contains like preservatives or flavors or colorings or emulsifiers, whatever it is, I have physical reactions and I feel bad. Another point I will explain, I could eat even better, but one of the reasons why in my life I have not been eating 100% like only whole foods is because of society. It is very, very difficult to just eat very healthy and not be looked at as if you had a mental illness or are super judgy, or think that you're better than other people. So for example, if you're out and about in the city, I will go and have French fries or chips or whatever it is. I know it will make people happy if I eat ice cream, things like that. I don't eat it because it makes me feel good, but I know that it will soften out, ease out the whole aspect of social life, of people around in your life. I've had my fair share of experiences of people thinking of me as if I had an issue with food or something, but I don't. I just like to do things that feel good, and I like to feel good and be healthy. And I grew up with a lot of issues with my digestion. I grew up with super processed food, with frozen pizza, with McDonald's, with Nutella toast, with anything that has a long list of ingredients. And I had always digestive issues. I had a lot of food allergies, reactions, a lot of inflammation in my body. And over the time, I learned to listen to my body and not eat things that make me react. So I know society and the people around you can affect a lot your food choices, what you eat, how you feel with it. What I think is the best for people is to learn a lot for themselves. So if you have more knowledge, it helps you to make better choices and to experience. So, and it's very, very interesting because he also talks about that he's not going to give you any advice on what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, but he invites you to experience. So he invites you to eat of the ultra-processed food and see how you feel while reading the book, with the knowledge also that you gain, but also just to know that you start to notice how you feel. And this is such a great approach, and what I try to do with people with movement, because if I tell them what is good and what is not good, they don't learn the skill to notice and make their own decisions in a way that is good for them, but they start to believe. And believing is very difficult because people tell you different things, so there are different things to believe in, and you don't know what is right and what is wrong for yourself. So rather than me telling someone how to move, I always encourage them to learn how to feel and notice, and then how can you make things easier and better for yourself, giving them hints and so on. And it's exactly how he approaches also the idea of the ultra-processed food. It's hard to put it into a few minutes because it delves into a lot of different topics, ranging again from physical aspects of different ingredients, from mental aspects, from the problem of obesity and how it's not a matter of willpower, for example. Like, it goes into the economic aspect, the sustainability aspect, and so on. I'm going to show you once more. I can recommend it. It's fun, easy to read, very insightful. Makes you want to ask him many questions also on the other industries, such as beauty industries, for example, and what effect does that have when you put it on your skin. But yeah, I hope you liked it, and if you have any other questions, write it in the comments down below. I'm very curious to hear your opinion, and enjoy the book.